All right, let's do it like this. Okay, good. All right, I think we're ready to get started. So yeah, welcome everyone to my first live stream. I'm very excited to be getting started with this, and today we are going to do a live coding live stream. As some of you may know, I have this starter architecture project which I created a little while ago, and this is a simple time tracking application that I've been building over the last year. It is actually an evolution of the application that I was using for my Flutter and Firebase course, and I just wanted to create this as a reference application that you can use for Flutter and Firebase apps. And so the idea behind this is that you can sign in with email and password like this, and once you do, you're presented with a list of jobs that you can add, and this is where you can track your time entries. So for each job you would have a different set of entries, and then you can also see a report of how much money you've earned for each one of the different jobs. What we are going to be doing today is to add a new feature to this application, and the main idea here is that so the main idea is that we want to add some onboarding functionality to this application. And in order to do this, I've already prepared an issue on GitHub. So what we're going to do is to add some feature to the app so that when you sign in for the first time, you're going to be seeing an onboarding screen. And this is going to tell the users what the app is all about. The main idea behind onboarding sequences is that typically, as soon as the user has dismissed the onboarding screen, you can write a flag to local storage so that the next time the app is started, then the onboarding screen doesn't show. So we'll be seeing how we can implement that feature. And if there is enough time for it, I'll also try to write some tests for it. So this is the plan for today. I might give you a quick overview about the code base before we get started, because we are not starting from a brand new application here. We already have a code base. So I guess the way to think about it is how can we approach it if, for example, we have a new job and we had to inherit an existing code base, and manager comes in and we are assigned a task to add new features. So how would we go about starting working on a project that maybe we are not too familiar with? So we'll try to see how that goes as well. Cool. So good. Some of you were talking about the echo. I think I managed to solve this. So the echo is okay. Yeah, I think I managed to fix that. All right, so let's get started. So here I have the Visual Studio project for this application. Currently, I'm on the pubspec.yaml file, and as you can see, we already have a number of packages that I've installed previously. I've also have some packages that I have created that I'm planning to reuse on various Flutter projects that I'm working on. So these do common things like showing alert dialogues. One package I created to show the email and password signing UI and things like that. But the main thing that we are interested in is to how we can go about adding the onboarding screen. And we also have to decide when should the onboarding screen appear. For example, if the user has just installed the app for the first time, then we definitely want to show it. But what conditions should we have in order for it to not show again? And the main idea is that we would present a screen and then only after the user has dismissed that screen, we want to be able to set a flag somewhere so that it no longer shows the next time. And this flag needs to persist so that if you kill the application and start again later, then you're not gonna see it again. So yeah, we'll be using RiverPod as well. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully I give you a bit of insight on that. Okay, so assuming you've never seen this project before, which is probably the case if you're following this, the first point of entry is the main file, which is where we initialize Firebase. And here I'm using RiverPod for state management and dependency injection. So let's just, I guess, take a quick look at how this is structured. The root widget of the application contains a material application. And then for the home page, I'm passing this auth widget. And the purpose of this auth widget is to monitor the state changes that come from the Firebase authentication stream. And based on whether the user is signed in or not, then we can return different things. Now, the way I've structured this is that if, for example, the state is still loading, then I just return a scaffold with an empty circular progress indicator. If for any reason there was an error, I can return that. But in order to make this widget or class reusable, I created two widget builders called non-signed-in builder and signed-in builder. And the idea here is that depending on the state of this stream, then I call either one builder or the other. And what that allows me to do is that on the code that creates this auth widget, I can either return the sign-in page or the home page. So these two widgets are very specific for this application, but in other projects, you may have different pages. So all I wanted to do with this is to create a reusable authentication widget that can send the user to one page or another based on the authentication state. And to do this, I'm using the builder pattern like this. So how does the onboarding sequence fit into this? Well, the main idea, I think, is that if the user was already signed in, then it's likely that they must have already registered before. So we don't want to show the onboarding in that case. So we really only want to show this if the user has never signed in before. And the reason, in part, why I decided to do this video is that onboarding, the logic behind onboarding is something that to me is relatively simple, but I think it's also easy to go down the wrong track. For example, people sometimes ask, where should this flag go? Should it go on Firebase or Firestore so that we know if users have seen onboarding before on a different device? And to me, that's kind of overcomplicating things because the main idea really is that it's fine if you can see the onboarding just once locally on your device. And if you end up installing the app on a separate device, then maybe you'll see the onboarding again. But we don't want to overcomplicate things. And if you use Firestore to store a flag to tell you whether onboarding has been seen before, you already have an extra dependency there in that you first have to log in only to know if you've seen onboarding before. So we'll try to keep it simple, and what we are going to do is just use probably something like shared preferences to deal with this. But before we even get to that, I think I want to start creating the onboarding page itself. So I need to find a good place for that. Currently, the way the app is structured is that I have two main folders called Home and Sign In. And Sign In relates to all the widgets that we see when we initially see the app when we are not logged in. So I guess the idea for now is that I could have maybe a new folder called Onboarding, like this. And then maybe in here I'm gonna create a new file called onboarding page.dart. This is likely to be a stateless widget. And I can call this onboarding page. As usual, I want to import material. And this should probably be relatively straightforward. So for now, maybe I'm just gonna copy some code from here to return a scaffold and put it in here. And rather than presenting this circular progress indicator, I want to use some nice image that I download from somewhere on the web and maybe show some text. So in case you've never encountered this website, there's a thing called flaticon.com that I use quite often, and you get all these kind of nice 2D style icons, and I often use it for various things like the banners of my videos and for like simple SVGs that I can just drop into my apps. So that is what I tend to use. I think this one looks pretty good, so it might be the one that I'm going to use. And when you go on this website, you can choose to download as PNG or SVG. And I think today, just to make it a bit more interesting, we're going to use SVG. So I've already downloaded the file. So I'm gonna take this from here. And I'm gonna just copy and paste it inside the project folder. So I don't think I already have an assets folder in here, so I might just go and create it. So I can create assets, and then I could maybe just drag and drop it like that. So now I have it over here as an SVG file. And the next thing that I want to do is to go on the pubspec.yaml file, and I'm gonna add it in here. So I can probably just uncomment this from here, and then here I want to make sure I use the correct name. So that will be time tracking.svg. Can delete this. The folder is actually called assets, so that is what I want to be using. And since I'm using an SVG file, I need to actually use a package in order to load SVG files. So there is a package on pub.dev called Flutter SVG, which I think I used before, 99% popularity. So we should be pretty good to go with this. So here I'm going to use pubspec assist and add Flutter SVG as a dependency. Which should have been added over here. So yeah, we're good. Just want to make sure I get the latest packages, and then I should be ready to go and use it. So I can go back to the onboarding page, and let's see if we can get this up and running. I don't actually remember what's the syntax for this, so I can pick it up from the documentation for the SVG package, and then I'm just gonna put it in here for a second. So yeah, what I want to do is to reference the correct file, which is called like this in my case. I don't think I want to declare this as a variable to start with. Semantics label, yeah, I could say time tracking logo, I guess. And then I can just try to drop this right into the middle of the page, something like that. And I can probably delete some of this code. Here I presume I need to import the SVG package in order to use it. Invalid constant value. Oh, that's interesting. I have a feeling actually I might need to even make sure that the thing is imported by the time I run the app. So I'm just gonna restart the app just in case. Show errors. All right, we'll get through that. Let me just comment this out for a second. Run the project. And this should show up in a second. It's redoing the Gradle thing. Hopefully, I was hoping for the Android emulator to be quite quick. It's picking up now. Okay, so the app has started. So now we should have the package installed correctly. And now I just need to work out why. Yeah, so I can now import this, and things are looking a bit better. Something to do with const constructor. That's right, because this is not a const constructor, so I can't put const in front of the scaffold. Okay, so this is bare bones version of this onboarding page. Just to see if it works, we could go back on the main widget and try to return it here and see what happens, just to see if it shows correctly. So I can import it, and if I hot reload now, I should see, there we go, we have a big icon over there. So the next thing that we're gonna do, I think, is just to style this a little bit, and once we are done with it, we're going to start to add the logic for switching between the onboarding page and the sign-in page. So I can go back to this page, and then, yeah. So I think maybe what I'm gonna do is to make this a little bit smaller, add a title at the top, and maybe something like get started at the bottom, so that the user can progress to the next page. So this looks like something that needs a vertical layout. So here, rather than using center, I'm going to use a column with an array of children, and one of the children will be the image that we just added. And maybe at the top I could add, well, let's see, text widget with the text, I don't know, start, track your time, because time counts, something silly like that. We want maybe to give this a style so that the font is big enough. So here we can use inherited widget, and I can say theme.of context.text theme, which is that one, dot maybe one of the headlines. We'll see how big this shows, right? So if I save, I can see that this is massive. Maybe I'm gonna use headline 4. That's a bit better. I probably want this to be aligned. Tell you what, I might even add a new line here, and I want to align the text to be centered. So alignment, text, align, dot center. Yeah, something like that. Little bit better. And now I want to space things out vertically so that things are centered. So here I can use the main axis alignment dot center, so that looks a bit better. Then I want to use a button at the bottom that will say get started. So yeah, let's do that. I could use a raised button, I guess. Ideally, I want something that looks a bit better, like a stadium border kind of button. So for that, I might actually use the custom button class that I created before for this project. And I can probably borrow some of that code from some of my other classes. So I have this custom raise button, yeah, that I created. It's nothing fancy. It's just a button with a bit more customization than what I can get out of just a raise button. So I'll try to use that and see how I go with that. I need to import it, and here I can pass a few properties. So child will be a text which says get started, something like that. Doesn't look too appealing at the moment, so I'm gonna pass maybe a color, colors, the indigo maybe. I should probably use themes for this as well. For now, I just want to get the basics running. So here I have the text, style, text, style. In fact, let's use again theme of context. This time, rather than headline 4, maybe it could be body 1 or body 2. And I want to add a color, which is white, for example. So here I could use copy width and see if I can get, yeah, so I can say copy with color. and colors the white like that. That looks a little bit better. I probably want it to be bigger than that still. So rather than that, maybe I can use one of the subtitle styles. That doesn't look that much bigger. Try headline 6. That's a bit better. Maybe even bigger. Yeah, that will do. The other thing that this class allows me to do is to specify a border radius, which is part of the reason why I created it, because I always forget the syntax for this rounded rectangle border thing. So here I could just add a border radius, for example, of 30, and if I do that, it becomes nice and rounded. So that's a bit better. And I probably want this button to be a bit bigger as well. So let's see if I can get that done by adding a cross-axis alignment or cross-axis alignment dot stretch. That does it. And then I want to maybe make this image a little bit smaller and add a bit of padding. So I can maybe wrap this with a bit of padding. 8 seems a bit small for me. I call it 16. So that's a little bit better. This image is too big, so let's make it smaller. I guess different ways of doing this. One thing I could try and see if it works is to... Let's see. I could try to wrap it with a size box and add a specific width, for example 160, and see if that works. That doesn't, probably to do with the way the layout engine works. Maybe, yeah, probably I need to use either padding or one of the fractionally sized widgets, which I haven't used for a little bit. Yeah, let's see. I haven't used this in a little while. Let's see if I can work it out. Width factor, height factor. 0.5. Yeah, that's better. That seems to be looking a bit better for me. So yeah, I think we'll leave it at that. I can obviously customize this a little bit more, but I think the interesting part of this presentation is about the logic for onboarding as well. So I think this is decent enough for now, and we'll see how to do the interesting part now. So this widget is complete. I will still need to add an onPressed callback to this button, and that's what we will use to trigger all the logic for the onboarding. So in addition to the widget class, we now want something that we can use to persist the state, telling us that we have dismissed onboarding. So let's go back, and I think to do this, I think what I'm gonna try to do is to use state notifier, which is something that is supported by Riverpod. I could use change notifier as well. Doesn't really matter for this. What we're doing is quite simple, but I guess I'm gonna create a new file, and I could call this onboarding view model.dart for now. And here I could create class, yeah, onboarding. Yeah, view model extend state notifier, not the whole thing, just state notifier. That's what I want. I probably haven't imported it yet. I was under the impression that it comes by default with Riverpod, but maybe it doesn't. So right, it's been added now. I can hot restart the application, and with some luck, I'll be able to use it and import it now. There we go. So state notifier takes an initial state as the constructor argument. So we need to decide what that state is. And in this case, the state is just going to be a very simple Boolean, which will be true or false depending on whether the user has dismissed the onboarding. So what I'm going to do is to create an onboarding view model, which calls the super constructor and passing a state of false. And that will indicate that the user hasn't dismissed the onboarding yet. In addition to this, though, I need to be able to write to share preferences so that the state is persisted after the use does something. So for now, maybe I'll just implement the in-memory version, and then we'll add the share preferences logic. So here I can add a function method actually that says something like, yeah, I'll just call it user did complete. In fact, I'm just gonna call it complete onboarding. And this will say state equals true, I guess. Something like that. So this is a method that we will be able to call from the onboarding page when the user has pressed on the button. I need to add a provider. All right, let me see if I remember. Actually, I haven't even touched this project for a little while, so I'm just gonna borrow some logic from here and try to remember how to use this. Yeah, okay. I guess as a starting point, I just need a simple provider that will hold this view model. So when we create things with RiverPod, the providers are actually global, and so I can call this onboarding view model provider. I think this might actually be a state notifier provider, like this, of type onboarding view model. And let's see, this probably also takes a reference like this. And rather than returning Firebase auth.instance, what we want to do is just return a new instance of onboarding view model like this. So that's better. And now that we have this, we should be able to use it in the onboarding page. So what we can do here is add the onPressed callback, and maybe should I move this to a new method? Well, let's see. I'm just gonna move this to a new method. So I'm gonna call it void on get started. So I can call it when this button is pressed. In fact, I can probably call it like this. And what we want to do here is to get access to the provider that we just created. So I can probably just say onboarding view model provider dot, and here I should be able to import it from here. And then now I have to remember how to use this. I should have probably refreshed my RiverPod knowledge before I did this video, but let's try to figure out. So what I want to do in here is to yeah, just get the view model. So I can probably just say .read, but in order to use this, I need a scoped reader. So there's various ways of doing this. One way to do this is to change this to a consumer widget, which I can import from Flutter RiverPod. When I do this, I need to add a scoped reader watch argument to the build method, and this is something that I can pass to the onGetStarted method. So what I'm gonna do is pass this along, and when I call this, I can call it as an anonymous function and pass watch as an argument, and then oops, and then Try to remember. Read. How do I use this now? Oh, I forgot how to use riverpod. That's not good, is it? Yeah, okay. Oh well. This is how we code, right? We figure things out as we go. So riverpod.dev, and then I go to the documentation, and what I want to be doing is figure out how to do something like this. So this is a simple example of how to create a provider. And what I want to do, reading a provider. Yeah, watch user yeah, that was the syntax that I forgot. Okay, so what I want to be doing here is to just watch the onboarding view model provider. This will give me the final onboarding view model. I'm not even sure if I need watch. Maybe here I could just read from the context. I'll figure it out in a second. For now, I just want to get the basics working. So here I could say, I could call the method that I just created, which is complete onboarding, like this. And that's all we need for now. Now, the interesting thing is that when we do this and we press the button, then this will call complete onboarding, and this will set the state to true. But there are two things that we still need to tackle. One of them is that we need to persist this to local storage. And the other thing that we haven't really tackled yet is that we want them to be able to respond to changes on this state, so that in the main file we can decide if we show the onboarding page or the signing page. So I think let's start by switching the page depending on the state. And in order to do this, I should be able to, basically I just need to listen to the view model, and when that changes, then I can choose which page to return. So let's see, maybe following the example of what I've done here, I could maybe try some of this logic. All right, so I guess what I'm gonna try to do is to yeah, so what I want to do is to be able to have access to the onboarding view model provider, which is declared on the other file. And at the moment, I can't really call watch right here because well, this is not a consumer widget. So maybe there are two ways to solve this. One is to use a consumer widget here, or I could actually wrap this widget with a consumer, which also comes from the riverpod package. And what this gives me is a consumer builder, which has a context and the scope reader that I need. So in order to use this, I just need to pass the builder argument, and this will give me a context and the watch variable. And then here I can then say final onboarding view model and watch, and use the watch like this. And then I can say onboarding view model. This doesn't seem to have a when variable, but I could just check the state. And I could say if onboarding view model state is true. I think this may. Have I declared this correctly? All right, let me see. State notify provider. Can't remember if this, in this case, if I want this to be Boolean or if I want. Yeah, okay, so the onboarding view model state is a Boolean in this case. So what I want to do is just to check the state. So this should be true or false. Yeah, maybe I just needed to check against true. We'll get there. Okay, so yeah, so what I want to do is to say if the onboarding view model state is true, then we can return onboarding. Actually, you can return sign in page like this, and otherwise we return home. Actually, onboarding page. I'll just copy it from here, like that. Yeah, that should probably do it. And now that I have this, I probably just need to complete this, fix the syntax, and reload. Okay, so just give it a hot restart to make sure. And here I could press on get started. And when I do, nothing happens. So let's see, figure things out as we go along. So this will trigger the complete onboarding method when it's called, and it will call set state to true. So if I press this button, doesn't seem like this is actually being called at the moment. Let's see if this is called. Nothing actually seems to be called right now. Okay, quick restart. Oh, hang on. Am I using the correct thing here? So once I restart, I'm pretty sure I should at least hit this breakpoint. I wonder if I'm actually running in debug or run mode. Maybe I'm just running it without breakpoints. Easy to find out. If I put a breakpoint here and I hot restart, I don't seem to be getting much stuff, and that's probably because I have a compiler error. All right, there we go. Yeah, okay, that's interesting. Okay, so main line 31, argument type consumer widget function builder context can't be assigned to a widget. Okay, well, this is definitely a widget. So I should be able to pass this as an argument to this. The builder gives me the context and the watch. So what am I doing wrong? Those two signatures seem pretty similar to me, so let me just maybe run it like that. Definitely doing something wrong here. Well, the suggestion is to use provide a listener. Yeah, and also to just use context.read for functions. All right, it seems like that didn't compile. So this context I'm not using at the moment. In this case, you might be right in saying that I should be able to just say context.read and just use that. Though I guess it makes sense that well, I should have definitely refreshed my RiverPod knowledge before doing this. It's always harder when you do it live, I guess. Right, so let's see how I've done it in places where it actually works. So for example, here I have my sign-in page where I created a view model. This model was a change notifier model, so I should be able to do something very similar to this, I guess, in my case, with the difference that in my case I'm using state notifier. And then here, for example, I'm using this view model. yeah, to choose based on the state how to return things. So maybe if I try to do something along these lines, it might actually work a bit better. So let's see what's the difference here. I still want this to be a state notifier provider. I still want this to be onboarding view model. Okay, this case I don't really need anything much to be different. So I think up to this point what I had was correct. The difference probably is in how I'm using it. So in this case, oh yeah, it is a provider listener. Yeah, so the suggestion was exactly what I needed to look at. Okay, yeah, cool. Actually, no, provider listener is when you want to do some imperative code, for example, showing an alert. So what I want to do really is just to update the widgets that are returned when the state of my model changes. And the way I've done it here is to, yeah, just check for the state. So as long as I have as long as I'm, I think, watching the changes in the onboarding view model provider, then I should be able to do this. I'm just not sure I understand what this error is. Oh well. I mean, actually, I need to be able to read this a bit better. So, consumer widget function can't be assigned to widget function, comma widget. Oh, hang on a sec. Is this argument? Oh, don't tell me I just made this mistake. Maybe that was the problem, that this has 3 arguments, not 2. Okay, let's see. Go back onto this. Okay, yeah, maybe that wasn't a very helpful debug message because I just missed the fact that the builder had a 3rd parameter. But yeah, hopefully now I can make a bit of progress on this. And I should also see all the breakpoints firing away. And in fact, this one is starting and this one is showing. And as soon as I click on the button to get started, I hit my callback inside the onboarding page. And I can use this to call complete onboarding. So I'm gonna play here. And what seems to be happening now is I can't use read outside of the body of the consumer callback. So let's see where I made that mistake. Okay. Outside the body of the consumer callback. Well, is that really? Actually, here I might only need to do read. I probably don't even need to do watch in this case because all I'm doing is just calling a method to update the state, but I'm not watching for it, so I'm not checking for updates. Okay, I hope you didn't come here for a clear and precise explanation about RiverPod works, because as you can see, I'm just working this out as I go along. Okay, so let's try like this. This should work as well for the purposes of what I need to do. And this maybe can just be a stateless widget. Okay. Try again. Now it says the getter watch isn't defined for the onboarding page. Yes, with context. Just like that. All right, try again. Let's see if we get a bit more luck this time. I can call this. It will execute and it will set the state to true. And so that's progress in that sense. Now I want to see if my main method is being updated when the state changes. I don't. Oh, it's done it after hot reload, but I was expecting it to do it when I press the button callback. So let me do a quick restart once again. So if I do a quick restart, then the state will probably go back to false because I'm not persisting this yet. So what I want to make sure is that when I press the button, then I get an update on this consumer, and that doesn't seem to be happening at the moment. So I'm probably not using this correctly. It might also be that, yeah, why is that not being updated then? Right, so that's working a bit better. All right. Oh, this is painful. Okay. Well, if anything, this shows that things are never as easy as they seem when I do my scripted videos, and I get stuck on stupid things as well. So that's the way it goes with coding. All right, so let's see if anybody got ideas about what I'm doing wrong. I think I'm gonna try to turn this around and see if maybe going for the consumer widget makes any difference. So I'm gonna do scoped watch, reader watch, and I'm gonna try to see what happens if I put this line here, and rather than using a consumer here, I can use the onboarding model state to decide what to return. Yeah. All right. Let's try like this. Onboarding dot state is true, and then I'm just gonna use maybe ternary operator and do this one here. Otherwise, onboarding page, comma. Then I can comment out all this stuff. Hot reload. I did get so I do actually get a call on hot reload, but what I wanted to do is to work when I press the button. So quick restart. It's called the first time around. It's called a second time around. I press on get started, and it's not called after that. So that actually doesn't make much of a difference, it appears. I'm a bit worried about this warning that I get here, which I still haven't figured out. The member state. Maybe I'm not meant to be using state like this. Suggestions seem still to be around provider listener. I guess the provider listener is something I would be using if I wanted to say, for example, navigate to a different page. And what I'm trying to do here is to switch a runtime based on a certain condition. So by virtue of watching this, could it be that I need to actually watch on the state property of the view model rather than watching the view model itself? Could be. What's a bit puzzling me is that when I implemented this for the sign-in page, what I've done was quite similar. Created a view model, and then I was simply using it directly inside this widget, which is just a stateless widget, so it doesn't really do anything in particular. Oh, right, I see. Now I get it. So provider listener is not only for on-change events, but also for rebuilding the child, which is the bit that I forgot, I presume. So I'm gonna try to make that change in a second. I think I got a bit confused because when we use the block library, the provider listener doesn't really do this bit. It only does the on-change stuff. And so the mistake here is that, yeah, I don't need the onChange in my case, but I do need the child that way. So finally the message came across, and thank you for the suggestions, and maybe I should just listen a bit better. all right. Let me go back. I'm gonna revert some of the latest changes, and this can go back to status widget. And this time I'm going to do provide a listener of what is it called? Onboarding view model. And now let's work out the arguments of this. So we have onChange and I bet this is actually as easy as this. Yeah, fine. So I guess what I want to know though is still, shouldn't this give me access to the state that I want? How have I done it before? All right, so I watch it and then I declare the provider listener. Okay. Let's do like this. Get in there. I hope you didn't have too many plans for this morning. I'm getting it now. So return provider listener, and this will have a child which depends on this state. So here I can probably just say if morning view model state is true, then I can return one thing, unless I return the other thing. And let's see if that goes a bit better. All right, get that reload. I'm gonna take this breakpoint away. I'm gonna restart. Parameter onChange is required. That would be interesting. No, still doesn't work. Okay, well, yeah, I'm not sure, to be honest, what I need the onChange for now, because all I want to do is just to return this or that, depending on things. Well, back to my other example, which I know to be working. Oh, did I forget to pass in the provider? That would be a big mistake, would it? Yeah. That's definitely not something that I want to be doing. So let me add this and try one more time. Nothing much happening still. All right, onChange. I tell you what, I'm just gonna add the onChange just so that at least I can see context value. Oh, yeah, maybe I get it now. So print value just to see what happens. Okay, so restart the application, clear console, get started. This right now should print something. Okay, so I've added the provider. I've added onChange just to see at least if events come through, but they don't seem to be coming through. Not having much luck with this. Okay. Yeah, still not entirely sure, to be honest. Why would this not work? Well, it's all about the state propagation at this stage, so I just need to work out this state is being set when I call it from here. I assume that when I set this on a state notifier instance, then it will do the right thing and push the update, but it doesn't actually seem to be getting the update when I try to read it. So I'm not entirely sure. And it's also telling me I shouldn't use this like this. So maybe let's at least get rid of that message. So I can probably add a bool get it complete onboarding to return state, which actually reads a bit better. Is that right? Oh, did I? This obviously should be bool, which helps. And when I do this, I should be able on my main to just say did complete onboarding like that. Maybe it turns out I just forgot to add the generics annotation. Let's see. So the state is being set now, but I still don't get the updates that I want, which is not fun. I still don't know why I'm not getting this. Well, I think the problem is that on change doesn't actually show, it's not called. So even if I said if value is true, I think where I'm going wrong potentially is that what I'm interested to be listening on is the state of the view model, which is a Boolean. And I'm not sure if this then needs to be onboarding view model. Maybe it should be Boolean, but that's not how I've done it elsewhere. So this is baffling me because that's pretty much what I've done before. A bit out of ideas. And it's been 1 hour already. Wow, I thought that in 1 hour I could actually do the whole feature completed with nice looking code and tests. Nowhere near there. Okay, let me just revert to consumer widget here. And I'm gonna put the scope reader here. What's yeah, I think, thank you for that suggestion. Yeah, I have a feeling that magic. That might well be it. And it might well be that here I just need to return this and then this or this. Let's see. Right. What happens if I just do this? Restart all. All right, so application just started. Oh, there we go. Okay, thank you very much, Dennis Sedura. That was the solution. Turns out it helps to have a community and to do this live so people can help me with my mistakes. And this makes a lot of sense because the state is the reactive part of this provider and all I had to do is to watch for it. So thanks again. Awesome. Okay, so we have managed to implement the state switching logic, at least when the application starts, and do this like this. I am aware that we are already at 1 hour of live stream. I could carry on and do the bit with share preferences, and the next part would be to write the tests for this. For now, let me just do this. I'm gonna open my project on Git, and since I was still a master, I'm just going to create a branch for this and then I'm gonna call it add onboarding. Then I'm gonna take all my changes, which at this stage at least are not unreasonable. As in, I didn't make it extremely worse or much worse than it was before. I might just clean up the code. Let's do it like this, guys. And well, ladies and gents, I'm just gonna wrap things up by cleaning up the code a little bit. I'm gonna push a PR up to GitHub. And then we're gonna continue on the next live stream. I was kind of intending to keep them to be no longer than 1 hour and do them in chunks. So I think I'm just gonna quickly clean up this view model like that. Do state is true like this, and do it like that. I can probably clean some of this code. There's still improvements that I could make, but for the time being, started implementing onboarding. And then I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna git push it like that. And then I can get back to the project, and I'm gonna make a PR against this issue, which is issue 41. So there we go, fixes 41. The cool thing about GitHub, I don't know if you all know about it, but you can do this thing and create a draft pull request, and that will tell you that the work is not complete. So this is pretty good when you are working in a team, because others will know that you're still working on it. So now this issue has linked with the PR that I've just created. And I think, yeah, we're gonna wrap it up here. So the next time we'll finish up this feature, I'll try to be a bit more prepared for this. But yeah, thank you very much. This was the first live stream. So I hope it wasn't too terrible for you. And I plan to do quite a few of these in the future. So I'm hoping that things will start improving from here. You can also leave some suggestions or comments about what you would like me to do on the next live streams. For now, the idea was to do a few kind of features on this repository and add some things to it. But in the future, I will be open to working on different projects as well. Maybe at some point, we'll do some QA, and you can see I'm just getting started with this. So it will get better over time. So thank you all very much for joining in today. I hope you have a great Friday, and I'll see you soon.